Hello everybody, welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Xenia if you are new, and it seems like a lot of you are, like a lot. I am so thankful for all of your kind comments, your kind words, your compliments, your questions, everything that you left on my previous videos, even some of my short films. You guys watched those too. So I am so thankful to all the love that I have received, and I just feel like my hard work is noticed and I feel very good. And thank you for enriching my life. Like, I've gotten so many recommendations for readings and I'm like, oh, this is everything. I love being in community with all of you 1,500 new subscribers. So this video is a Q&A. I left this video up just to have a place to collect questions, and you guys left me some questions, and if I hearted your question, I'm gonna answer it, which is like every single question. There's not a lot, so you won't be here for long unless you want to peruse the other items on the menu. But again, my name is Xenia. Nobody asked, but a little bit about me. I'm 22. I'm currently in my senior year of film school. I grew up in Melbourne Beach, Florida. And my experience is very much shaped by, you know, grandparents who were radical, and my mom who has, I like to think she has a radical thing about her. Like, it's there, I know it's there. And, you know, I did have my own journey of radicalization, and I feel like it's a very different type of radicalization than my grandparents or mom would have experienced. So my experience is very much shaped by that sort of middle class sort of, I'm not saying there wasn't struggle, but I gotta give it up to my grandparents. They worked extremely, extremely hard just so we could have a relatively struggle-less life. I live in Philadelphia now, and that has further, you know, being around other people who are similarly inclined, that also helps, you know, to have people to bounce ideas off, to be validated and to say, no girl, you ain't crazy, you're not crazy, this is happening, this is real. So first question by Saint Andrew: what was your political journey like, assuming that you're an anarchist? How did you find that position? So I could say a lot about this, and I am gonna say a little bit more about this in my next video on love and anarchy. But basically what it comes down to is, in my view, anarchism is the most loving and most caring ideology. Not even ideology, philosophy, way of looking at the world. I think anarchy is so special and so beautiful. And in my Love and Anarchy video, which I am diligently working on, I promise, just the connection between what love looks like in practice, both amongst individuals and amongst, you know, an individual and the society that they live in. Like, what love really is and really looks like and manifests itself as. You find a lot of those same principles in anarchy, which I just love. I've always been inclined to love whenever the opportunity presents itself. And I make a lot of my work about love. If I'm analyzing anything, I'm always doing it through the context of love and care. So I don't know, I'm always gonna side with love, and anarchy is love to me. All right, next question is by Ryan McDowell, And they say, what is your favorite medium for expression? Okay, so obviously I'm a film student. I love expressing through video, but more recently I've discovered like what like really gets me jazzed about film is I used to be an illustration major. I've been like drawing and painting all my life. But what I can do with video is just, I can make so many crazy things happen in Premiere. Guys, you don't even know. It is my favorite thing ever to do. And I feel like when I'm with video, I am somehow painting with the camera. And it's not camera stilo. It's not writing with the camera. Like, I feel like I'm painting with the camera, if that makes sense. Like, writing with the camera, this is totally film school bullshit that you don't need to know. But writing with the camera is more so I am telling a story. Like, the camera is an extension of me. The camera is an extension of my experience, my point of view, all that. But I guess for me, painting with the camera is painting with the camera is more about image, where writing is like story. Painting is color, life, change, movement. It's so much image-based, but it's also very, very rich. I'm getting really nerdy. Oh, it's so beautiful outside. I'm getting like really into this. But basically, I love video, and obviously I love makeup. Makeup is something that I can do every morning before class, before I go to the grocery store, whatever I want to do for that day. It's something that I can do. I can be creative. I can focus on line, shape, color. I can do a lot just on my face. So I can experiment with all these things the first thing in the morning. It just gets my brain going. It lets me be creative for the rest of the day. I feel like myself when I paint my face, when I put something on. I mean, those are the two big ones I'm expressing through right now. I also do music. Usually I'll do music if I'm confused about an emotion or I need to get something out through words. Okay. Oh my God, I'm taking so long. This is gonna be a bitch to edit. So Tyler Hogsett says, I work at a very large tech company and want to radicalize my peers. Any tips for inspiring our liberal friends to explore what the left has to offer? Or am I thinking about this wrong? So what I found helpful for radicalizing my friends, recently I was talking to a makeup artist. We wanted to collab for a shoot. Well, not recently. This was like May 30th, June 1st type area when George Floyd had just died. And before we set this bitch on fire, she was like posting all this reformist stuff in her story. And I'm like, girl, can we talk? Can we talk? Just like makeup hoe to makeup hoe. Can we talk? And basically she's like younger than me. And I'm like, girl, remember the reforms that were put in place, the body cam reforms after Ferguson? Everybody said this was going to end. Not everyone, but TV. Fucking Rachel Maddow. Everyone's like, this is gonna end if we have accountability through viewing. But we see with our eyes, with our collective consciousness, we see Black people get murdered. It feels like every day, every month by the police. There's a new video. Twice a month, 3 times a month. So what is the body cam gonna do? And it did not shit to solve the problem. I got kind of stern with her. I'm like, it didn't do what they said it was gonna do, because guess what? They gave the police more money and said, here, you guys decide what you can do with it. So I was like, reform doesn't work, girl. We need something drastically different or this is going to keep happening. The police were set up on white supremacy, and the police will continue to enforce white supremacy. So, girl, think about all those reformist posts that you are posting in your story. because I know you're young, but you should know right now that it ain't that. I'm young, and I know right now that it ain't that. Anyways, this story is to say that she took like a drastic shift left. So what I'm saying with this little anecdote is it's easy if you already have like a good connection with those people that you want to radicalize, or, you know, at least push a little bit left. And it really, really helps if you can find an issue that is close to them. Listen to what they're talking about at work. Like, what are they talking about? Do they need childcare? Do they need healthcare? Whatever they need, whatever they talk about, whatever they express that they care about, you should listen to that and think about how the things that we know through studying different ways of seeing the world, like anarchy, like communism, like socialism, what can we, you know, draw from in our own experience to relate that to, you know, people that we want to push left. So for this makeup artist I was collabing with, it was police violence, it was state violence. It's something that she cared a lot about. So I said, hey girl, reform ain't the way. And through that issue that she cared about, it pushed her left. But, you know, just try to relate to them on a human level, not so much like I'm telling you. Okay, so thank you, Tyler, for your question. Who are some lesser well-known thinkers / essays / books that you recommend? Okay. Hello, Editing Xenia here. I totally botched this question because I couldn't think of any books at the time when I was recording. So I just want to talk about some books that I'm reading right now. I don't know if they're lesser known or not, but one book that I'm reading right now is called The Black Jacobins by C.L.R. James, and it just illustrates in incredible detail everything that happened up to the Haitian Revolution, how they were inspired by the French Revolution, which happened a couple years before, 2 years before the Haitian Revolution, and how sort of the French were espousing all these ideas about liberty and equality, but they're keeping Black people captive and enslaved in their colony. So it's very interesting, a different perspective to look at. It's an ignored perspective. And yeah, I just think it's a great book about revolution and Black people, which needs to be connected more. If we all had a better understanding of our revolutionary roots, I feel like we wouldn't be so quick, you know, dampening down our own anger. Another book that I have been trying to read since the end of the summer, if you guys can make heads or tails of it, I think it's a great book. It's a hard book. It's called Anarcho-Blackness, Notes Towards a Black Anarchism by Marquise Bay. And for me, it's kind of difficult to read. I have a print copy. I'll link it if I can find a free PDF. Another book that I did read over the summer, which was absolutely wonderful, is called How We Get Free by Keeanga-Yamahtta Taylor. And it sort of chronicles how the Combahee River Collective, which was a Black women's sort of radical group in the 70s, it sort of details their journeys, their fights, everything that they did. And it's through interviews. So it's like you're sitting down, like having your grandma tell these amazing stories. It's really amazing, and I highly recommend it. So those are my 3 titles to recommend. They're not necessarily explicitly anarchist, except for Anarcho-Blackness, but I think they have a lot of useful information in them, and I'm loving them so far. All right. My pronouns are she, her. Okay, so I totally messed this question up too. What are your pronouns and how do you feel about gender? Asked by Nico Novator. So my pronouns are she, her, like you just saw me say. Ultimately, I think gender is a performance. I think it's completely valid to perform whichever gender you want to perform and to identify as whatever gender you want to identify as. I don't know, that's like my base view of what gender is. It exists on a spectrum. I don't know, maybe that's my privilege as a cis person to not have to focus on what gender means. But this is something my gender and sexuality teacher would say, that she's identified as a woman rather than she identifies as a woman. And her cisness comes from her not having a problem with that identification. So I feel like that's how I feel about my gender. So yeah, I hope that sort of answers the question a little bit better than what I did when I was filming the Q&A. All right. Hopefully I won't mess up the next one. So, Confused Coffee is wondering, what does your creative process look like? If you're comfortable sharing, what are some of the topics you want to explore in future videos? Okay, so I did write down a couple of topics. So these are 3 future video ideas, and then I'll get into my process. So I want to do a video about representation. I feel like we don't get enough farther leftist analyses on representation, so I want to do a video on representation. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it double-edged? Is it worthless? Is it worth being exaggerated? I want to get into all the tea because I have thoughts, I have feelings. That's one video. And another video I have is contradictions. I heard this in an American Johnson video. Wait, what is his name? EJ, right? American Johnson. Non-compete. I saw this in a non-compete video, and he was talking about the duty of the left, not the duty, that sounds icky, but one of our main jobs is to expose contradictions. And I want to do a video about, do the general public actually care about contradictions that are exposed within our society that benefit the rich? That one's still cooking, simmering. So the YouTuber, let me pull up, what's his name? He was just on Thought Slime's last video, in the eyeball zone. But he did a video, I think it's his Capitalism 101, Capitalism is Bad 101. But he said something about laziness, and then it got me thinking about all these things. Like, what is laziness? What does it entail? What does it mean in the public consciousness? And what does it actually mean? And what it actually is it so bad? Like, a lot of questions, and I want to figure them out. So those are 3 topics I have videos on. As far as my creative process goes, see, this is part of what I'm saying when anarchy defines me so well. So no one part of the process rules over the other. I sort of just make a lot of things and put them together. So each element informs the other. So I might come up with an idea first, and that idea will inform the makeup that I put on my face, and the makeup that I put on my face informs sort of theme. All these different parts inform each other and work together to create sort of what you're seeing here. That's like a YouTube video. I do the same with my short films. I don't script any of my films. I make them very organically, and I usually make them about me in some way or another. Personal experience is a great thing to draw from, because who do you know better? You know, what is better to express yourself about than your own life and your own thoughts and feelings? Life is happening all around me, and there's endless things to make films about, and paintings about, and songs about. All of these different elements that dance around in my head, I try not to worry about what it's gonna look like in the end and enjoy the making of it. I let all of these elements communicate and inform each other. Sam Feder, the person who directed Disclosure, it's on Netflix, a film about trans representation in popular media. They came to my school, and I think he said it's something like, if you have to work too hard at it, it's probably not right. And like, that's not true all the time, but it's true in a lot of instances. If you have to work too hard at it, something's going to be missing in the end. If you don't collaborate with the materials around you, whether that's paint, whether that's your actors, whether that's different people that you're working with, if you don't collaborate and interact and be with the materials around you, I feel like you're gonna miss some things that are brought out by your medium specifically. It's good to plan, but don't worry so much about what it's gonna be in the end, because you could happen upon some really organic choices that just makes your project all the more special and all the more wonderful. Thank you, Confused Coffee. Jacob Berry asks, I love your short films. Who are some directors / video artists who you enjoy / draw inspiration from? So for this part, I thought it would be easier just to go through my actual list. I really like the filmmaker Marlon Riggs. He is no longer alive, but his style of performative documentary is absolute gold. It's beautiful. He has a really unique perspective, and I do see a lot of that in my own work. Oh, the film. Okay, so I have a really scattered sort of style. Just places that I draw influence from are vastly different. So one of the films that really resonated with me is called Poison. It's directed by Todd Haynes, and it's from 1991. I love that film. It's absolutely beautiful, and I think I need to watch that film again to give me some insight on how to cut my thesis. I love that film. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Everyone should go see it. Another film that I'm inspired by aesthetically, Todd Haynes Poison very much inspires me with its form. I really do love its form. But one aesthetic film that I just love, and I could watch forever is The Love Witch by Anna Biller, which her aesthetic is very inspired by films of the Technicolor 70s era. And one of the films that did inspire her was Peau d'Âne, or Donkey Skin in English, which is directed by Jacobins. I love that film. It is the most sparkliest thing you will ever lay your eyes on, and it is right up my alley. As for more recent films, look, I'm not a big movie watcher, but someone who does inspire my aesthetics is the Instagram account. Her name was Honeydew Helen, but I think she changed it again, so I'll put her tag up. She inspires me to know, and I love her work. That's pretty much like the big influences that are floating around my head right now. I'll include anything else I think of. All right. I'd love to hear who's influenced you politically. I'd love to know if you're familiar with the work of Zoe Samudzi, William C. Anderson, or Fred Morton, and your thoughts on their work. I would love to hear your thoughts on any of Malatesta's writings in reference to love and anarchy, but also in general if you're familiar. Thanks for making exactly the channel you've made. It's sublime. Aww, thank you, Julian. A big part of my further radicalization this summer is getting more grounded in writings from the Black radical tradition and discovering, I know I'm late, I'm sorry, but when I would study Black history before, it'd sort of be like in a vaguely anti-capitalist, anti-US lens. But now when I look at all of these Black radical people, and the mainstream is very interested in, taking that radical status away from these people so that they can bring them into classrooms, so that they can sort of be propped up on a pedestal and claim to be moderate, and then that symbol be used to dampen Black radicalization. But just knowing that these people are radical, just knowing that they're revolutionaries, that did a lot for me and really influenced the way that I think about the United States. It took me from the United States needs a lot to get rid of a lot of stuff, but we can still be it's still the United States. We still have whatever democracy, whatever bullshit. Knowing about Black radicals and their thoughts on the system, on the state, it took me from we can get rid of some stuff, reform some stuff, to fuck it. Specifically, I resonated a lot with Kwame Ture. Yeah, just studying up on the Black radical tradition. Basically that, because knowing that this shit is not new and we are building on what so many people laid the groundwork for me, it calms my soul. And knowing that I have such great company of all of these radicals and revolutionaries, I feel like that really inspired the way that I was looking at things. I was already anti-capitalist, but I just needed that slight tilt. All of those people, that's what they gave me. Okay, my throat is getting tired. Falcon Fern asks, if you're okay with answering this, in a time where defund the police is in the mouths of everyone left of conservatives, what might that future ideally look like to you? Okay. Part of decolonizing your mind, part of decolonizing just the way that you look at things. So policing is necessary for people who are trained to have carceral responses, even to minor instances. I want authority to come down on you. I want someone else to sort of do my bidding, to suppress you so that I can be comfortable instead of dealing with whatever just happened. If we lock someone up for stealing, are we addressing why that person even stole in the first place? No, we are not. We just have a carceral response. We say, this is wrong, lock him up. So there's the this is wrong part where we don't all get to collectively determine what's wrong. Some people, a very select few of people get to decide, oh yeah, that's wrong. And then they teach it to us. They say, this is wrong. And what do we do when it's wrong? We lock him up. So we sort of get taught this response that if something's wrong, I can call the authorities and they can take this person away and I won't have to deal with it anymore. I know a lot of us have never called the cops on someone, but think about even when you're a kid. You say, Jimmy hit me, the teacher comes and takes him out of recess, he has to sit in timeout or something. We learn that from when we're very small children. We are trained to have this carceral response, like incarcerate, so I don't have to see it, so I don't have to deal with it anymore. But those problems are going to keep popping up. The culture's the same. Everything is the same. We haven't changed shit. I just feel like police reform doesn't get to the heart of the issue. a lot of crimes could be prevented if we had a culture that supported that. But do you hear that? Do you hear the sirens? I don't want to live in a world where policing is necessary. We do live in that dangerous of a world, but half of the problems that affect people's lives, kill people in this country, are imposed by the state. There's people who say defund the police, but really mean give them more money, but we get to say how some of it is allocated. Like, we get to decide their budget. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? Like, the police are paying people in the government. There is, girl, you're all working with and for each other, girl. You think we can't see that, girl? But I feel like liberals who say defund the police, like, they don't really mean it. And defunding is not the be all end all. Like, people are like, yeah, defund the police. They don't need all my money, but they don't want to say abolish. Yes, they'll have to be phased out because sometimes the police do their jobs, okay? I'm not saying it's most of the time, but sometimes they do their jobs and, I don't know, save a life accidentally. I don't know how they work over there. I feel like we can still rely on them for certain things, but they need to be drastically decreased and eventually phased out. Because it might take 100 years, it might take 50 years, but eventually we should want to get to a place where these violent crimes aren't so rampant. I'm like shivering because my water was so cold. Ooh, we're getting through this. Okay. What was the thought or event that made you say, I'm starting a YouTube channel? COVID happened and I was like, I've wanted to make a makeup video for so long and I've got this camera from school. Let me make a makeup video. I was like less and less fulfilled by like making makeup videos. I only have like 4 of them up. But I was like, there's gotta be something more because I want to share my thoughts, but I don't want it to just be like, because I'm not a video essayist, girl. I'm also not like a ContraPoints mode of making. I'm sort of just in because this is where I am in my journey with leftism. I'm sort of just in the meditation phase. Like, what do these things that I'm reading about, that I'm thinking about here, how do they apply to my life? And what ways can I see parallels from what they're talking about in the reading to what my life looks like around me? And how could I imagine a different world around me? Like, I'm in the meditation phase. So I wanted to sort of create a space where other people who are also in the meditation phase, and honestly, girl, the meditation phase doesn't end because there's always something new to think about, always something more. So I just wanted to create space for thinking, and maybe you're gonna be wrong, and maybe the things that you said before aren't true anymore. Like, I wanted to create a space for that was also calming, relaxing, and not as doom and gloom as a lot of leftist videos can be. But yeah, that's the thought behind how I'm operating my YouTube channel now. This look is inspired by this question, and the question is by Elizabeth Yohei Moore, and they ask, what's your favorite eyeshadow color to wear outside? Blue. Inside, outside, upside down, girl, blue. I love blue with all of my heart, soul, mind, strength. If there are color choices, I'm choosing blue every time. Blue is my world. Blue is my rock. Blue is my life. Amen. And thank you. Praise God. She made the sky blue because she said, this color is so beautiful. I want everybody to see it every day, period. Okay, next one. How have the political theories, thoughts, etc. that you learn influence your perception of the world, and how do you use this perception in your everyday life? And that is by Angel Daniel. Every so often, something that I read or something that I watched or listened to just clicks, and I realize the material reality of what is happening in the book, in the lecture, in the speech. I realize what it is they're talking about because I just experienced something that happened that was just like that. Or I met somebody who experienced that. And then I can apply that leftist lens to that and say, okay, this is the actual problem. It wasn't this what I was thinking about before. So I can look at it through that lens. And those are the moments for me. I feel like you should, when you read something, think about just everyday things that you do, systems that you participate in every day. So whether that's school, whether that's work, when you're reading something, think about how those different concepts that are discussed, just think about how they are expressed in a material reality. I feel like making those connections for me is the most helpful because this is this is theory. It's sort of formless. You can't really touch it. But once it solidifies into your reality, that's when you really understand. Okay, and last question. What is your standpoint on animal liberation and anti-speciesism? I can't comment on animal liberation and anti-speciesism because I don't have an understanding of what those things are. But I can comment on the second part of your question. And that is, what would your personal perfect world look like? So I've gotten some iteration of this question by different people, some antagonizing me, some legitimately wondering. I would think about this a lot when people were sort of pressuring me to have an answer. I would say hey, anarchy's pretty cool. And they'd be like, okay, well, how would that even work? And I'm like, wait, I don't know. And I always thought I haven't found the answer. I haven't read enough. I haven't communed with other anarchists enough. It was always the onus on me. But I realized that anarchist society doesn't just set itself up or prop itself up just on its own. It's created by the people who are a part of it. Everybody is in community with each other and they inform each other. There's a dialogue within the community about what needs need to be met. So I feel how would an anarchist society be set up? I think we have to talk to each other a little bit more about that question because, anarchism is a very broad belief. It encompasses a lot of different types of anarchism. So I feel like anarchy, the ways different anarchist societies are set up depends on who is in them. And this is one of the reasons that I'm really excited to do my first post on the leftist meditation, is that I want to hear from you guys because I know what my reality is and what needs I need met. But what about y'all? Because in order to be in community with people, we have to, I'm not saying we have to get along with everyone, but we have to know what they think as well and what they need as well. So I feel like talking with each other will help us form opinions that are more grounded in a collective reality rather than just imagining some utopia. But I guess some ideas that I have had A lot of people say this, but I think community gardens would be such a useful tool for people to be more connected with the land that they live on, people to know about good farming practices, what is good for the earth and what is not. Like, just through learning, and I don't garden, my grandma does, and just watching how connected she is to the earth around her. She knows what's good for it, what's bad for it. My neighbor's getting Grubhub. I want food. But so community gardens, I think, would be a great addition to most neighborhoods. And then you're also like working together. You're working with each other to feed yourselves. I'm not saying that should be like the only source of food, but I don't know. I think it would be a cool thing. Another thing, in terms of policing, or harm reduction, it has to be harm reduction. I don't know exactly what different ways that manifests itself, but it has to be harm reduction rather than criminal justice. It would sort of be destroyed and reshaped, remolded into something that's based on harm reduction rather than criminal justice or crime, whatever. Crime and punishment, that's it. I don't know, but one thing, if someone does work for you, if someone is meeting your needs, I feel like it's better to exchange. Like, let's say you have a group of workers that is building a house. So while they're building a house in a certain location, you could do something to make sure that they have shelter, that they have clothes, that they are fed. Like, us as different people have different skills, and I think we ought to do what we good at. We all have different skills, whether that's interpersonal skills, whether that's building and tinkering, whether that's creating art, whether that's doing more technical stuff, engineering, what have you. We all have different skills and we all know how to do different things. So I feel like an anarchist community, we would work together to meet our needs. And when you think about it, does that really need a hierarchy? Like, if workers are doing a job to meet needs in the community, instead of paying them, instead of working them to exhaustion, what if we just met their needs? I feel like it wouldn't be hard. And ultimately, I think anarchist communities are going to be much smaller, more like a town size, rather than like a big city or a state or a whole manifest destiny ass country. Girl, if the needs are met, flourishing. So that was the last question. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you, all of you, for giving me such thought-provoking questions. This is my favorite thing about being in dialogue with y'all. My favorite thing is that when you ask me something that I don't know about, that enriches me. And when I say something that y'all don't know about, that enriches you. It's such like a beautiful exchange. I love it. I do, per some of y'all's request, I do now have a Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/zmatthews to check out the tiers and support if you find yourself in that position, or if you want to, you don't got to. So no post yet, but I'm very excited to get that community started as well. So if you are so inclined, head over to patreon.com/zmatthews to find a way to support. That is it for me. It is late. I have class in the morning and I still haven't done one monicum. is that a word? Ounce? 1 ounce of homework. So I'm gonna have to catch y'all on the flip side. Look out for my Love and Anarchy video. Can I say I love you? Are we in that point in the relationship? I'm very fond of all y'all. Thank you for tuning in for another video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.